Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Well, thank you so much. Thank you to Dr. DeGioia, to Dean Otter, to Georgetown for this wonderful honor. But more importantly, congratulations to the graduates and to your friends and families who I know are so proud of you. Give yourselves another round of applause. I've admired Georgetown for a long time. It's an honor to share this day with you in an air-conditioned environment. I'm going to take about 10 or 12 minutes of your time to give a little speech here. But so right now, President Trump is flying to Saudi Arabia. I don't think he's landed yet. We haven't seen any tweets. But he's literally on the other side of the world. Most of the time, of course, Trump lives at the White House, which is less than 3 miles from here. But in some ways, he might as well be a world apart. In this city, Washington, only 4% of the population voted for Trump, 1 in 25 voters. So if you count DC as a quote-unquote state, that's the lowest share of the major party vote received by any candidate in any state since 1964, when LBJ was not on the ballot in Alabama. I don't presume to know who you voted for. I can guess the majority based on the applause. But I'm sure it's not everyone. I'm sure it's certainly not all of your parents. And it's none of my business, really. I know from speaking with Dean Otter and getting to meet a couple of you that the School of Continuing Studies draws people from many walks of life, from all around the country, from all around the world. It really is a diverse place in the way a lot of university programs are not necessarily. I do know that there's a fundamental difference between the values that prevail in an institution like this and the ones that dominate in politics, where academic study is fundamentally a truth-seeking institution. The pursuit of truth is at the core of the scientific method. Politics is not that way. Unfortunately, the truest argument is sometimes less politically persuasive than alternative facts manipulated for maximum emotional effect. Almost all politicians take advantage of this, but this particular White House has been especially indifferent and sometimes even hostile toward the truth. And again, that's not the part that we should be equivocal about. We can argue over tax policy or nuclear deterrence theory or gay marriage. As I'll point out in a moment, it's important to seek out a diverse range of political perspectives, but we shouldn't have a lot of tolerance for BS. But I don't want you to go away from this ceremony or from Georgetown thinking that we have it all figured out. That's the exact opposite of what I want to convey today, in fact. Because seeking truth is one thing, it's a virtue, and it is a moral thing, by the way, too. But finding truth is another thing, and as you've learned in your studies, it's often pretty hard. It takes a lot of humility, it takes a lot of hard work, it requires you to change your mind a lot. You graduates are in a transformational state today because from today forward, people are going to see you a little bit differently. They're going to see that you have a degree from Georgetown, probably the most prestigious university in the nation's capital of the United States. And they're going to presume, fairly or not, that you are therefore a part of the Washington elite. Going to be totally inaccurate stereotype for many of you. Maybe true for a few of you. I saw the business school graduation earlier, for example. But you know, I know how hard you've all worked for what you've achieved and what you've earned, and you deserve every bit of it. But there's some small grain of truth in there, in that from a statistical standpoint, your education level is an increasingly good predictor of your behavior, politically, socially, and otherwise. So Trump improved on Mitt Romney's performance in 47 of the USA's 50 least well-educated counties. Hillary Clinton improved on Obama's performance in 48 of the 50 most well-educated counties, which includes, by the way, a lot of counties in and around Washington, D.C. So highly educated people are increasingly clustering together in cities and metropolitan areas like Washington and New York and San Francisco and Boston. This is a mixed blessing, though, I think, because it's not as though Washington elites or New York elites, for all their intelligence, have gotten everything right. And Trump has a point about that. From the Iraq War to the financial crisis to the 2016 election, there have been lots of things that people in this town believed, elites believed, that turned out to be wrong, even a little bit dangerous at times. There was a widely held belief, for instance, that the Electoral College would favor Hillary Clinton in a close election, and that's not what the data said. If you read our site, 538, you knew it was a risk factor for Clinton because her vote was concentrated in places like Washington and California and New York, instead of being spread out throughout the country where there are more electoral votes. But because elites kept asserting that the Electoral College helped Clinton, there weren't very many people willing to question that and look at the evidence for themselves. So I want to leave you with 3 pieces of advice, and these are geared toward helping you find the truth in whatever field you choose. It's advice borrowed from the book The Wisdom of Crowds, which was written by James Surowiecki of The New Yorker, and the book talks about under what conditions groups of people make wise decisions and when their collective judgment fails instead. So he finds there are basically 3 things that distinguish smart groups from dumb and counterproductive ones. And number 1 on his list is diversity, as in more of it is better. Part of that, of course, includes racial and gender diversity. So my work involves a lot of math and statistics, and you hear people complain about the shortage of talent in STEM fields, science, technology, engineering, and math. And the thing is, these historically have been fields where women and people of color have not been well represented. So only about 30% of the country in the US is white men. If you're only picking from 30% of the population, of course you're going to have a talent shortage. So to all the graduates, but especially those of you who are people of color, who are women in STEM fields, this is really important for the future of our country. But Surowiecki is also referring to diversity of thinking. You can have 100 really smart people in a room together, but if they're all smart in the same ways, and they all come from the same places, their strengths are going to become redundant and their weaknesses will amplify one another. So my first piece of advice as newly minted members of the Washington elite is to seek out differences and diversity of opinion. If you find yourself surrounded by people who agree with you on everything, that ought to make you a little bit nervous. The second condition is independence. Surowiecki finds that groups are smart when they form their own judgments before coming together to share and debate their ideas. They're dumb when people feel as though they lack the right and the wherewithal to express their views, or they succumb too quickly to peer pressure. Now, all that sounds great. Independence is something we really value in the United States. But the more time I spend covering politics, the more I think it's actually pretty hard to achieve. People are social beings. There are now so many ways to surround ourselves physically and virtually with people who agree with us that we don't get as much practice defending unpopular points of view or learning how to think critically. So my second piece of advice, therefore, is to question authority. Don't accept an argument just because it comes from your boss or someone with a fancy credential or someone in a position of authority. Instead, demand to see the evidence for it. Thank you. The third condition is what Surowiecki calls decentralization, but I'm going to call localization. So groups are smarter when they take advantage of local knowledge instead of all working from the same set of information. Localization can mean geographic diversity, gathering information and experience from all parts of the country, but it can also mean having a deep knowledge of a particular subfield instead of being a jack of all trades. So my final piece of advice to you, therefore, is go local. You've come from many different communities to gather here today. That's part of what makes universities such vibrant and intelligent places. But the mission of Georgetown really only works if you go back into the communities and share your newfound knowledge and skills. It can be the community you came from. It can be a new community, one you're familiar with, one you're not. It can be a physical community. It can be a virtual or an intellectual community instead. But you'd be surprised how easy it is on a planet of 7.5 billion people to become one of the world's foremost experts on a topic if you really bear down and study it. Go deeper into understanding a problem than you ever thought possible, go local, and geek out. So that's it. I think 3 pieces of advice is all I get before you start to question my wisdom and my authority. And I'm also kind of eager to check my phone and see if @RealDonaldTrump has landed yet. So thank you, Georgetown, and congratulations, graduates.